Good morning. How is everyone this morning? It's about 8:30 on a Saturday. And I am just sweetly welcoming this beautiful weekend. Welcome to the weekend. You got your coffee? I got a little story to tell you about joy. A few years back, let's see, it was probably seven years ago or so, when I worked with my first shaman. And I was reading a book called The Power of Now. And I remember calling him one day and asking him, what is the biggest factor that lowers your frequency, lowers your vibration? And he said, judgment. Judgment was the number one thing that would immediately take you off balance, off center, and lower your frequency. And I thought about that conversation for years before it really permeated my soul. And now judgment is the easiest pattern for me to see when someone is speaking to me. Because we live in a hologram. This universe is a big hologram, right? And it is a reflection of the energies that we carry inside of us. And we magnetically draw experiences to us based on the frequency that we emanate into the world. And that's what makes us the creators of our world, is because it is our conscious thoughts that direct the flow of energy. I also read a book about that same time about the energy of words. And I also watched a documentary about water and how water was programmable. And this was like 7 years ago when I was trying to understand the world in a different way than I had ever been shown. It wasn't until I began really listening to my own thoughts and literally taking notes on everything I was thinking before I began to see the connection energetically. Our thoughts are so powerful that the judgment you hold about someone is so powerful that they will not be able to reflect to you something other than the judgment you already believe about them. So it's really interesting to me when I meet new people and I have no judgments of them, right? I don't know who they are. I hold very little judgments of people anyway, but it's really interesting when I sit down and listen to someone for the first time and I let them tell me their truth. I'm going to tell you a story about a woman I met in Hawaii, and in her late 60s, I write about her in the book, and her name in the book is Ursula. And when I met Ursula, it almost seemed not real because the patterns were so crystal clear and apparent that it was almost comical to watch. She began to tell me during one conversation in our first meeting about her mother. And I found it so interesting because I had not met her mother yet. And the way she described her mother was like she was describing herself. And I was looking at her going, she was describing where her mother carried her weight, right? In the exact same place that she carried her weight. She was telling me about um, her, all the worst qualities about her mother, right? And I'm like, this is quite an introduction. I can't wait to meet your mother. And when I met her mother, I was like, oh my God, she literally just did describe herself. But what she described was all the things she didn't like about herself. Every place that she judged herself, she also judged her mother. And that's the funny thing about emotional intelligence, is if you don't know your own reflection, then everything you say is just a projection. But when you walk past a mirror, you should be able to recognize yourself in the mirror. But if you don't know yourself, you're going to walk past a mirror and see all kinds of other things that are not going to feel like they're you. And here's the truth. Everyone that touches your world is in some way, shape, or form a reflection of you. And you get to either recognize the reflection and alter your own judgments, or you can reject that reflection and repeat the pattern. I just finished writing this memoir and then my computer crashed. And I got to pick it up last night. And as I was turning it back on and reloading all my softwares and checking to make sure all my book parts were there, which it was, so thankful, I got very reflective. And like everything in my world, I understand that these are divine redirections, right? So when I didn't have access to my laptop or my book or any way to really work except other than my phone, I knew that I was being paused. The writing of the book took a lot from me, and it was literally a divine pause for me to let it settle. And this morning when I woke up, it was just like I had been rebooted and a new software was installed in me. Because the operating system of how I'm seeing the world today was different. And the reflection of the interactions I've already had this morning have been different. And that's all the evolution requires, is for us to be willing participants, to see the world and ourselves different. If you reject any part of you, then you have not healed your reflection. And you walk around the world trying to shatter the reflections that you don't like, and then blaming the world for not showing you the divinity that is in you. It's no one else's job to change so that you can see a world you love. It is your job to change how you see the world and love. Because the truth is that love is surrounding all of us at all times. Love is a frequency. Love is a current of energy that you can flow with or you can resist. And If you stop resisting love, love will have no choice but to envelop you. I don't know if you've noticed, but when you woke up this morning, you didn't have to ask for there to be a restoration of air. And you didn't have to ask for a sun to come and light up a brand new day. You are held on this glorious planet magnetically. It's called gravity. And everything works in a perfect, harmonious order when you can find harmony within yourself. We are more than what we know. But once you begin to know who you are, everything changes. You're living in a hologram. It's time for you to take charge as player one. No more being a pawn because you misunderstand the reflections of what you see. Stop with the judgment, and you might start to see love in an entirely new way. Hello, Vicky. Thank you. Happy weekend to you, dear. This day is ready to envelop you if you're ready to be enveloped by love. But if you still got judgment on your plate, well, then you're going to be missing a lot of the good stuff. Joy is juicy. And it'll spill out everywhere that you walk. That's the way it was meant to be. So today, let it be. Let it all be. And see if you don't feel held differently. There's more. There's always more when you're ready for more. All right. I'm going to finish the rest of my coffee and have some more conversations, and we'll catch you again on the flip side. I love ya. No comments about my nail polish. Okay, I know. It needs some love too. We're going to work on that.